Okay, I think we are live, back with another live stream here. And yeah, so I figured it's been, I don't know, a couple weeks, and I don't think I've streamed on my own channel since Soul Finder Tunnel Hounds was released at Iconic Comics. So people have been getting their books, people have been sharing pictures of their books and their rosaries and their pins and their bags and all sorts of stuff. So I figured I would kind of go through and say thank you to the people that have been sharing pictures on Twitter and feedback. There's been people that have actually been doing reviews of the book, so I wanted to say thanks to them. I could maybe comment on a little bit of what was said during the reviews, nothing bad, obviously. And the feedback so far has been outstanding and constructive, and it's just been really cool. So yeah, so I wanted to thank people for that. I wanted to talk about upcoming Bell County Comic Con because that's August 3rd and August 4th. So if you haven't purchased tickets yet for that, then you might want to do that if you're going. If you're on the fence and you're like, I don't know, it's a drive, blah blah blah. Again, making the pitch for Bell County Comic Con. It's a really good time. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can put in America as a promo code and get a little bit of a discount there. I think that's what I saw on Tim and Mark's feed. Usually every year there's some sort of promo code. I didn't get with them this year, and I dropped the ball on the Soul Finder promo code. But yeah, you could always do the America promo code. That should work. Let's see. Edwin the Ace, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, man. Looking forward to getting your new book. I backed it on Indiegogo. So yeah, the Ace. Brett, thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. Speaking of people that spreading the word about Soul Finder Tunnel Hounds, Brett for sure. I know Edwin has liked some stuff and retweeted random stuff. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And anyone else that's tuning in, I can see some other people tuning in. Thank you for spreading the word. So yeah, I'm just going to go down the list here, and we'll return to this probably random intermittently. Soul Finder Tunnel Hounds Book 4 is live at Iconic Comics. We got the early bird special. That's the other thing, is there's always an early bird special. And finally catching up live. It's been a minute, says Edwin. Yeah, man. So always good to talk to you, and always looking forward to seeing when you're coming out with another issue of the Ace. So cool stuff, man. Let's see. So yeah, early bird specials are ongoing. Soft cover version of Tunnel Hounds is out there. We got the Memento Mori rosaries. Pretty soon, I'm going to get the St. Michael rosaries in. We got the Soul Finder quote-unquote unit patch, enamel pin. And you're like, wait, it's a unit patch, but it's an enamel pin? What about a patch, man? And it's like, yeah, I got to do the patch. But I've been kind of trying to hold off on that because Timothy Lim, who was kind enough to design this to begin with, he's just so fast. Bam, he just like put it out there, and it was really cool. And so it's being incorporated into future Soul Finder stories. It'll be in Soul Finder Volume 5, if all goes well. As well, it'll be out there. We'll just put it that way. But not really play like a huge role. And then what will likely be Volume 6, it will actually be more prominently featured. We'll just put it that way. So that's the plan. And there'll probably be unit patches then. I also, this is one of those things where you're just like, where does the time go? There's so many things you want to do, but then you can't do everything. So what I wanted to do initially was get the Tunnel Hounds, a little patch for the Tunnel Hounds, and put that out there. Maybe I could do it. I don't know. David Rogers says, what's the hardcover news? How quick would be delivery of the soft cover? I'm moving in a few weeks, and I need to decide when to order. David, if you get the soft cover, it should not take weeks to get to you. And I could, if you put in, say, an order today, it should not be that long. So, if you put in an order today, I could get to the fulfillment team and say, hey, be on the lookout for a David Rogers. He's moving in a couple weeks. So if you could get it out there sooner rather than later, that would be awesome. But if not, the hardcover campaign. So I actually got the Folded and Gathered for cover B, the Dave Dorman cover, yesterday. That gets into stuff that, for the most part, people don't care about, but I guess I could talk about it since it's not delaying anything. But there was some issues. So right before the very last moment where you have an opportunity to change things, there was something that went on with the cover B, or there was a little bit of confusion on the printer end about what I wanted. So I had to say, no, 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 this would not be good. We cannot do this. We have to do that. And so they fixed, or whatever you want to call it. We got the Dave Dorman cover, all good to go. But there's only going to be, I think, 200 of those. So those are going to be very limited. And then the main cover is the one that you see on the website here by Rodrigo Aviles, who is also coming back for volume 5. Anyway, long story short, the insides, the guts of the book, if I'm not mistaken, are already printed, and they just need to affix the covers. So cover A and cover B, the variant. They need to put the gold, the gilded on the outside of the pages, and then hopefully everything will go right with putting army green ribbons inside, and then on the little, I always forget what it's called, where the ribbons are connected, I don't want to say teeth or whatever, but it's like where that's connected, there should be green and gold there. So hopefully that goes according to plan. We shall see. And then I will either do a campaign after Bell County Comic-Con, after the dust clears. Maybe I'll just release things onto Iconic. I don't know. I'm always so torn. I will talk to Tim and Mark and all the guys when I'm down there and figure stuff out. But I was thinking I would do a campaign with the hardcovers, the vinyl records, Soul Finder theme song by She Lava, St. Michael rosaries, and then everything else is add-on that, if people wanted the digital down, then they could get that. And then I could obviously add all the books and the bundles and all that as add-ons, whatever. But for Kickstarter, you need an exclusive element, which would be the hardcovers, because they haven't been sold yet. So Matt, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. AL, thanks for tuning in. AL says, I just got Soul Finder Volume 4. Awesome. Thank you so much, AL. I appreciate it. And that's why I'm here today, is I basically wanted to say thank you to everybody that has been spreading the word about Soul Finder Tunnel Hounds. So I got to be careful how I say stuff. But long story short, actually, Father Redder will be at Bell County Comic-Con as well, quote unquote, Father Redder. A very cool reader who was there last year, and he was giving out rosaries. Now there's a contest with the Eric Canetti rosary art. And I know that he's been hitting the gym for the past year, so he's been trying to put on some muscle so he will more look the part of Father Redder. I don't think that's the reason why he's doing it, but it just so happens to coincide where he will look more like a Father Redder if he's putting on the muscles. He's hitting the gym. So good job. So he will be there. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So blah, 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 blah. Let's go through some of the people that are sharing stuff here. People like Kevin, for instance, people like Captain Cummings sharing the book. So long story short, we all know, if you watch this stream, there are people out there that they claim that they want objectively solid books on the market, indie comic books. And then you see something and you see the feedback, you see the reviews by guys like let's see, Yang Yang Zhao. And well, that was more of an interview. We didn't really get too into, that wasn't a review, but the Back Art Table Talk, Back to Drawing on Twitter, did a 30-minute breakdown of Tunnel Hounds. There was no spoilers, but he is a very sharp guy. He is a very intelligent. I'm usually sweating bullets when he's talking because I know he's a very articulate guy, and I know that if he doesn't like it, he's going to be able to tell exactly why he does not like it. And it's not that I don't want people to have negative reviews getting out there. If they have them, they can do whatever they want. But as the writer and creator, you're just like, oh man, this is gonna be a beaten. I'm just gonna have to suck it up and take it if this guy doesn't like it, because I know he's gonna have some good reasons that I will have to think about, but it's out there. So as opposed to in the past, every once in a while there'll be some people. There was one guy in the past who did a review, and I think I've talked about this before, and it was for Black Tide. And he was saying during the scene when Father Crane is literally using his cell phone camera, you can see he's a black guy. He's got black hands. He's the only black guy in the actual scene. He was like, I wasn't sure who was using the camera, who was taking that picture. It doesn't even make any sense. I don't know. If you look at the panel, you can see it's a black guy holding a phone, and you can see that he's got a Soul Finder uniform. You can see by his sleeves that he's got the red there. And then the next panel is literally Father Crane, and it's one black guy in a group of white people. So process of elimination, I'm pretty sure it was Father Crane. Anyway, those are the reviews where like it stinks because they're talking about something, they're just literally wrong, they didn't pay attention to detail, and it's getting out there to people, and I'm just like, this stinks, but you know what, he's wrong, so whatever, dude. But with Art Table Talk, he has a lot of very valid points. With previous issues, he has like little, usually like nitpicks there, here and there. And he will say, I'm not like making fun of him or doing whatever. He'll be like, maybe this is a little nitpicky or whatever. So it's like stuff on the edges, but overall, he makes very, very good points. He's very astute. And anyway, so the point is, there are people out there in indie comics, and they're just like, oh, we want solid books. We want solid storytelling. We want great art out there. We want books to the people, blah, blah, blah. And then they see that Soul Finder Tunnel Hounds fits the criteria. They are silent. They will not say a word, which is, I would rather have people not say a word than just like actively try and like mess with you with like stupid lies and things like that. But it's very interesting. And so every once in a while, people will come to me. I say this because they'll be like, hey, Doug, what do you think about, you think so-and-so would promote Tunnel Hounds? I feel like that would be like a good fit. You know, they do you know this person? Have you reached out to them? Have you talked to them? And I'm like, yeah, I know who they are. But I don't say this. I'm privately, I'll just be like, oh yeah, you know, I know who that. But then privately, it's like, yeah, they've ignored my existence since 2018. I know they know who I am. They obviously don't like me, so they're never going to acknowledge my existence or my books. So I can't say that when people are like, hey, do you know so-and-so? I mean, I feel like they would really like your book, and it's up their alley, and it says it's everything that they say that they want. Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to call people out. So anyway, the point is, thank you, AL, for buying Soul Finder. Thank you, Brett Palmer. Thank you, Edwin the Ace, for promoting books and telling people that you like them and stuff like that, and just not playing like stupid petty games or whatever. Matt, did I miss the window for the early bird specials for the hardcover? I've been far away from Twitter mostly. No, so the thing is, the hardcovers are literally not out. They're not even completely printed yet, and they are being printed probably as we speak. At least, or I shouldn't even say printed. I believe that the guts of the hardcovers are all printed, and now it's just basically gluing them or whatever, binding everything together in the final process with the hardcovers that have been approved, with the gloss and the foil and all that, blah, 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 blah. And the gold gilded pages and the ribbons. So that's where we're at as far as I know, and everything is still on track. So the hardcovers are a lot more expensive. Putting up the money for that is without crowdfunding first. I need to basically recoup as much as possible. Now, the good thing is the soft covers and the bundles and all that have done really well. So that is a huge help. And the next time Iconic Comics cuts me a check, I will be breathing a sigh of relief. but still the hardcovers are really expensive, and I need to recoup some costs with that, and I might go to Kickstarter. It's like if I don't, then I'm taking another gamble or a roll of the dice. It's not even that the books aren't going to sell. I know that I can see the trajectory. I know that people buy X number of books per month and X number over the course of a year. And I know that I always sell X number on average at Bell County Comic Con and certain shows that we do. So I know that. But if I can get a lump sum up front after a campaign, or I know that there's going to be enough of people buying hardcovers up front that I could then properly pay my creative team for volume 5. Like, these are all things I got to balance. And again, long story short, I'll probably do a Kickstarter campaign for the hardcover. But it'll be a short campaign, and then, immediately get the books out very, very soon after it ends, and Kickstarter cuts me a check. So the other reason why I want to say thank you to people that are spreading the word is because YouTube hates my guts. So here's the thing. I commented, I think I said last time, there's been people that are trolls that will sometimes comment on my old videos and say, weird things. And last time I tried to respond to them, and YouTube deleted my own comment. It just disappeared in the ether or whatever. It's gone. And I was like, they're not even letting me reply on my own page anymore. What is going on? Like, it'll just randomly delete. It'll just put it into a black hole, my own comment. Then Art Table Talk, he does a review, and during the review, he's like, sometimes Doug will show up in the comments section and he'll say some stuff to me and we'll have a good little back and forth and blah, 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 blah. I did that. I wrote a nice little reply to him and talked to him about stuff, and it appears initially and then just disappears. It's gone. So then I went to him and I was like, hey, don't think I'm a jerk, dude. Like, I commented on your page, and I don't know if they put it in the spam or like whatever, but if you deleted it, that's fine. Like, it's I don't care, but I'm just letting you know I'm not a jerk. I did reply to your video. And then he looks and he's like, no, it's not even in the spam. And I was like, I'm telling you. Well, anyway, then via DM, I was like, this is for the plan for Soul Founder Volume 5. And I know you like Detective Chua, but he's not going to be back next year because it's a 1980s tale on nuclear submarines. So I tried to comment on Art Table Talks video. It just deleted it. It's now randomly deleting my own comments from my own freaking page. So they're trying to set the rule, or whatever is going on, where people could come to my old videos, say nasty things to me, troll me, and I can't even respond on my own channel to people that are talking crap about me. So like I was saying on the last stream, I was like, you know what? No. It's one thing for people to just like troll on my video or say mean things to me, which sometimes it's like, fine, I want them to be out there so people could see what's going on. But if I am not allowed to comment on my own channel, it's gone. The comment's gone, because that's where I draw the line. I need to be able to respond in my own comments section to people. Anyway, YouTube hates my guts. And then on Twitter, my account is throttled. So what you will see is oftentimes, thank God for Tim and Mark and Iconic Comics, like retweeting my stuff and other people sharing, because Twitter has made sure that basically it is almost impossible for me on my own. I have 11,000 followers, and if I tweet, you'll see the impressions of who sees it. It'll essentially go to like maybe 500 people over the course of the day. And very rarely it will, like, sometimes if the right people share it and Tim and Mark put stuff out there, it'll catch on and it'll do whatever. But my own, I will randomly see people that have 100 to 150 followers. They'll tweet about Soul Finder, and the impressions will be like 1.5 thousand to 2,000 impressions for them just saying that they like Soul Finder. So it'll be like someone like Heather here, who did this on Medium. She did a nice review of the books. I don't know if it was her, but there's people like this. And it's like, okay, so someone will have 100 followers, and their tweet will get to over 1,000 or 2,000 people. I will tweet to 11,000 of my own followers and will get less uh, views than the person with like 1/10 of my follower count. And so it's almost like my own readers are able to promote my books better than I can these days. So uh this is why it's so important, because it is very hard for me to get the word out. And unless people like Solid Halon and Miss Martin Muses and AL and Matt and people are like sharing it, it will not get out to people. So I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that on my own page, everything is scratching and clawing and all that. And I think I said before that there was a certain day in January a couple years ago, and I was tweeting about that. In my Twitter page, something happened uh, immediately, or we'll say, within a very short amount of time. My impressions per tweet on anything I would tweet was uh, it just cratered. So something happened. I know Elon took over Twitter, but something happened because I was tweeting about individuals and stuff like that. So yeah, I can't help myself. I got to tweet about stuff like the Trump stuff and what happened in Pennsylvania. I'm going to talk about that a little bit here. And anyway, I'm throttled. So again, thank you for spreading the word about Tunnel Hounds. So also, Small World. We'll be talking about how all these things are connected, and there's no coincidence. Coincidences. If something happens, it's for a reason. If you meet people in life, there's billions and billions of people on the planet. If somebody comes into your life, there's a reason for that. What is the reason? Well, that's tough to discern at times, but it's not meaningless. So it was pretty cool here. Christina Kelly, who does all sorts of work in anime and also does work with Tim and Mark at Iconic. She was actually in Reno at Silver Age Comic Con, and I saw that and I was like, what are the chances? Like, I mean, I know she does random shows or whatever, but Reno's not like the biggest city. It's the biggest little city in the world. But I was like, wow, that is like, what are the chances of that? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Silver Age Comic Con, and here's a little piece that Timothy Lim did, and she signed it. And I got to talk to her about Iconic Comics, and that was cool. And yeah, it was just like overall just a really good time. And then I got to see Brian O'Halloran from Clerks. And I was joking around with my brothers because it was one of those things where I think it was my oldest brother was like, I'm not even supposed to be here today. And I was like, yeah, I was fighting the urge to say something like that. But I'm pretty sure that if I said that, he would punch me in the face, because for decades he's probably gone to grocery stores and he has people screaming at him like, I'm not even supposed to be here today or whatever. So I didn't do that. I just talked about how he influenced, and Clerks and Kevin Smith and all those guys influenced me as a young man. If you want to know why I put up my own money for independent content, independent comics, part of it is because I was influenced by Kevin Smith and Clerks, who put up his own money to fund Clerks. And it was just like, dude, I got to take a chance. I got to go for it no matter what. I'm going to max out. I think he maxed out his credit cards at the time. It was like $10,000. And maybe he like had multiple credit cards. I forgot the exact story. But it was just him going for it. And I was like, I do not care. I want to do this movie. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to make it happen. And anyway, so that influenced my mind in ways that I can't really comprehend or grasp fully. But if you want to know why I do what I do with Soul Finder, on some level, it's because I was introduced to Kevin Smith and Clerks and all these guys at a young age. And I was just like, yeah, if you have a vision, if you think that you want to do entrepreneurial stuff, you only got one life. You got to go for it, man. If it's really like on your heart and in your mind and in your bones, and you're like, I feel like I gotta do this, man. I gotta do this. There's a reason why it's there, and it's not going away, and it's just constantly on your mind. Like, I gotta write. I gotta do that. Well, maybe your vocation is a writer. If everything in your being screams, I have to write. I will write if nobody pays me a dime to write. And I will write if I'm like homeless and I'm sitting there and I only have napkins to write on. If you believe that sort of stuff, then, well, there's a really high probability that you are a writer, dude, or whatever it is. So, yeah, let's see. All right, Soul Finder, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, again, thank you to Heather Veely. This is on Medium. So she's got a review. If you're on the fence about getting Tunnel Hounds, check out Heather's review there. If you want to hear about my thoughts on indie comics and all that sort of stuff, check out Yang Yang Zhao's interview that he did last night with me. He asked a lot of really good questions, and I was happy to answer them. So it's been like 3 years since I talked to him. And so check that out. Had a good time. Also, Art Table Talk. Very, 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 very sharp, insightful information related to Soul Finder. So where is it? I'll bring it up here. Where was his thing? Oh, here we go. Nope. Where is our table talk? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. I need to toot the horn of Soul Finder readers yet again. I was watching back to Draw's review of Tunnel Hounds last night, and pleased to see him understand the function from a character development point of view of telling a story that takes place decades earlier than volumes 1 through 3. If done correctly, readers who already know Father Crane as an old man can see a pivotal point in his life and how it would logic result in the person they've read about in Demon's Match, Black Tide, and Infinite Ascent. I also appreciated that he understood how decisions I made regarding young Blatty were not an accident and, again, geared towards creating a logical trajectory for his life as seen in Tim's and Mark's books. I never mind explaining my thought processes to people when they ask, but it's nice to know that there are readers who think about this stuff and often come to correct conclusions on their own. So long story short, Soul Finder readers, I'm not knocking anybody else's readers, but Soul Finder readers on the whole are sharp cookies. They're sharp dudes. So our table talk was basically saying like it from a character arc perspective, character development arc, it makes sense for Doug to go back decades to Vietnam, because what you find out about Reginald Crane in Tunnel Hounds, it I don't know, it flushes out the character who is in his 70s when you read about him in Demon's Match and Black Tide and Infinite Ascent. He's a much older man, and you get to see, okay, this was a crossroads in his life. I was telling Yang Yang Zhao yesterday that I have always been fascinated by points in a person's life where you're like, there was a crossroads right there. And if I took the right path, it would lead, to where I am today or whatever. And if I took the other path, then my life would be completely different. Now, every single second of every single day, you have free will. So you could create, a crossroads or something like that. If I just threw myself out my window right now and broke my leg, that would obviously alter my life. But I'm talking about like professionally, or just like really big, you're making long-term plans when you're marrying somebody, when you have a kid or whatever, or there's a tragedy in your life, and then how you respond to that tragedy, you make a decision. So I wanted to go back in time and show Father Crane, who is more of an atheist agnostic guy at this point in time. He's a young man. He's in war. He's just trying to survive. And he's, teetering on the edge of like everything's kind of meaningless, this nihilistic worldview or whatever. And then there's this soul finder who is embedded with his team on a mission, and he witnesses all this supernatural stuff. And then he realizes God is real. Satan's real. The supernatural is real. There's a veil that we can't normally see beyond, but I was essentially blessed to see beyond it and experience it and engage in spiritual warfare. And this is the real warfare. This is where, if I am a true soldier, like, nothing against like, your everyday soldiers or whatever, but the wars that we are fighting in Vietnam and all over the place, they are manifestations of spiritual failures. And there's a spiritual battlefield, and that's where the real battle takes place. So if I am a soldier and I really, really want to do good by, my fellow man, then I think I want to become a priest, and I want to fight spiritual warfare. And that's what I want to do. So I wanted to tell a story with Blatty, Tim's and Mark's character, and Crane, where what they saw on that particular mission was like, now you can see why they became priests, and now you can see why they became soul finders, and now you could get insights into why they are the way they are, and you see them as young men, and it makes sense. RPX, thanks for tuning in. AL, let's see, about a lot of indie comics. Let's see, it's blah, blah, blah. I remember when you talked about doing research for this book. I look forward to reading it. Thank you, AL. I appreciate it. AL also says the art is beautiful. Appreciate that as well. So yeah, Matt obviously did a great job. Here's Old Demons match. Tim doing a great job on that. And yeah, so again, long story short, Soul Finder readers, reading the books, thinking about them at a deeper level, and actually coming to correct conclusions about stuff. Things are not an accident. So back to Draw was saying, the soul finder in this particular story was not given a number. It's not, I don't think it's that much of a secret why. If you watch these streams, I may have actually even mentioned it before, but so I don't know if he wants me to spoiler. Back to Draw, if you're watching right now, long story short is the number system for the soul finders is more of like a North American, a Western development. So Father Lamb in Tunnel Hounds, he's Vietnamese, Chinese dude. And so that's different. And they don't really do the number system in the East. It's more of a Western development. That, how do I say this? People around the world, like, oftentimes they engage in what is essentially warfare, is essentially war, even if it's not a declared war. So you can have the proper resume to become a soul finder if you're not in a declared war. So, the United States has, Revolutionary War, the Civil War, Vietnam. There's conflicts that are clearly defined or whatever. But around the world, that is not always the case. You can live in Africa or whatnot, and it's not like if there's all sorts of turmoil and there's warlords that are going through your village and doing stuff, you essentially can have the resume to become a soul finder if you become a priest. And so they don't have the number system like we do here. And so that's the reason why. So our table talk, if you're watching, that is the reason. And, maybe down the line, there is a good chance that this will be addressed, but only really briefly. So yeah. Let's see. And speaking about books, again, this is what I was talking about yesterday. All right. I was putting together some thoughts for a stream tonight and thinking about all the creative DNA that can be found in my own books if people could see on some sort of metaphysical level. The kind of stories we digest have a profound impact on us, whether we realize it or not. Content is absorbed by your subconscious mind, which is like a giant oceanic soup. What you throw into the deep sometimes comes to the surface. So you should have an idea of what's in there. When you pick up a book by a known author, it's probably a good idea to ask yourself if that person has your best interest in mind. Now, this will get into Jack Black and KG and their comments about Trump. Social media allows you to get a good read on a lot of people. And if it seems like the writer or musician or whomever it is has absolute contempt for you as a human being, then you might not want to open your mind up to psychological and spiritual poison. So I was getting ready for the stream last night and I was looking at some old comic books. And it's when I think of Soul Finder, and then I look at all these old books and how Iron Man and Spider-Man and Daredevil, obviously it's obvious with the Catholic element. If you read Soul Finder, there's always, not always, but a lot of times there's a time element, and time is running out. Time is of the essence, and the heroes need to save somebody before time runs out or whatnot. Obviously, I like the ocean deep, the depths of going fathoms into the abyss, into the darkness or whatnot. And I also like different dimensions and different realms, and the heroes, they're in danger of drowning and all this sort of stuff, and they're floating in the void, the abyss, the black, whatever, and they got to still figure out a way to save the day. So all this stuff goes into your subconscious mind, and then it bubbles up here and there. It's embedded in the DNA of your stories. And so the point is you need to think about garbage in, garbage out. If you put bad things into your mind, if you absorb, if you digest bad ideas, it's going to affect you in ways that you don't even understand. I don't want to say you're controlled necessarily by your subconscious mind, but it's in the car. It's the passenger who has a lot of say in what you do every single day. But you're not aware of it. It's subconscious, but it is operating. So you need to know that it is there, and that you're like, all right, I don't know exactly how all this works, but when I'm reading Daredevil and Spider-Man and Iron Man and Soul Finder and all these things, it's going to affect me. And so if I feel like the reader has contempt for humanity and has just a lot of really bad ideas about things, why would you want to read? Why would you want to digest poison? You don't want to do that. So with Soul Finder, I am trying my best, as I was telling Yang Zhao yesterday, not our table talk, but as I was telling Yang Zhao, I was like, some people want to mess with nihilism and meaninglessness, and the book itself actually has a message where it's all pointless. It doesn't mean anything. Like, why are we even here? This is dumb, that sort of stuff. I don't want to do that. That's a really bad idea. You don't want to put that in someone's head. So when I'm writing stories, when I'm writing Soul Finder, I want the person at the end of the day to be filled with hope, and understand the importance of figuring out the proper definition of love and how to better love your fellow man and all that sort of stuff. So let's see. All right. Oh yeah, Jack Black, KG. So here's the point in time where I'm going to get into some of this, like the stuff, the attempt on Trump's life out in Pennsylvania recently. So after that, Jack Black and KG of Tenacious D, who I saw when their first album came out in like the early 2000s. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was at the Metro in Chicago. It could have been at the Chicago Theater, but I think it was at the Metro. I don't know. And I even saw Tenacious D when they came out to Reno like a few years ago, not too long ago. So I know about Tenacious D. I know about Jack Black. And when I was a kid, I thought their stuff was kind of funny. But as I've gotten older, I was like, damn, these guys are just a bunch of like, I don't know. They're just not cool dudes. They're immature guys, and they're just mean. They're mean people. Anyway, so after Trump survives an attempt on his life, it's KG's birthday, and I guess Jack was just like, hey, make a wish, man. And he wished essentially that if there is another attempt on Trump's life, that the person is a better, has better aim, essentially. And all sorts of people got mad at that. And then Jack Black ended up canceling the tour. And I guess KG's representation dropped him and all this sort of stuff. But here's what's interesting to me. I saw a bunch of people online and they're just like, oh, are we going to cancel Tenacious D now? Is this cancellation for people? And all this sort of stuff. And I was thinking, if your first instinct is to root for the death of somebody after they just survived an assassination attempt on their life, like, you're kind of a bad person. Like, that's not cool. That's an understatement. Like, you're bad. You have something, like, fundamentally, there's something wrong with you inside. There's something broken. Like, everybody's broken to some extent, but you're a really broken person. And I feel like saying that we shouldn't be pro taking out presidents in JFK style, like, I feel like that's the bar's pretty low if we can't agree that people that are for, giving Trump the JFK statement are kind of gross people. Like I didn't vote for Obama, didn't vote for Biden, like didn't vote for like Hillary Clinton and all this sort of stuff. But if somebody tried to take them out JFK style, my the first thing that I would say if someone was like, make a wish on your birthday, Doug, would definitely not be that somebody succeeds in taking them out. And if I was like that, I would expect good people to hold me accountable for that and tell me that I'm kind of a scumbag for wishing, like, the JFK treatment on people. I'm trying to go around YouTube, which already hates my guts anyway. I'm trying to go around their stupid algorithm. So I don't know. I just feel like people should be able to express disgust at Jack Black and KG and Tenacious D for saying things that I feel are just objectively disgusting and gross. And there's nothing wrong with calling them out. It's not cancellation if you go there. If you just have like an opinion on healthcare and think that people should be able to pick their own healthcare, or if you have an opinion that you like lower taxes, like, you shouldn't get fired from your job for just wanting lower taxes to keep more of your money or whatever. But if you're very publicly making it clear that you are, pro assassin of people that you disagree with, like you can't be shocked when your employer is like, wow, this is a peek into somebody's soul, and I'm looking in the window of their soul that they are showing me, and I'm seeing a lot of darkness and evil and just grotesque things in there. And this is not a person that I want in my sphere of influence. This is not somebody that I want representing my company. This is not somebody I want to be tied at the hip to. This is not somebody that I want to, I don't know, lift up as my bestest buddy in the world or something like that. Like, I just feel like if I was an employer and I saw somebody who is promoting essentially assassinations, then I would be like, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm taking a stand. And I feel like it's not controversial to say that. So yeah, Miss Martin Muse, not just that it's dangerous, it makes them a threat. Yeah, they're clearly, they have psychological problems if they don't understand how that is not right or whatever. So anyway, backtrack a little bit and then I'll go to the Secret Service lists. Back to Soul Finder readers real quick. Also, there was a reader recently that talked about the 1950, 1951. I'm not sure the exact year. The 1950s Mercury that is in Soul Finder Tunnel Hounds. Now, if you read Soul Finder Demons Match, you know that a car that is inspired by Stallone's modified Mercury in Cobra, that belongs to Crane in Demons Match, and he offers Father Redder a ride. So if you read Tunnel Hounds now you saw that the car that Crane had in Demons Match belonged to his father, and it was given to Crane by his father, whom he loves, and they have like a very close knit relationship, and it has a very special meaning. This car has very special meaning to him. And so, not that the car is a character per se, but I'm trying to infuse it or whatever, imbue it with a certain level of feeling that it would not otherwise have. So if you read Soul Finder and you see little things here and there, and you're like, well, that's interesting. Why did Doug do that? Why? Well, there's a good chance if it stands out in a very interesting way, it's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. So, anyway, there was a reader out there, and he was really psyched about seeing this car that also ties to Stallone's Cobra as well. So cool points to people that notice stuff like this. Really appreciate it, and that gets me like pumped up to continue to write and do more stuff. I'm always pumped anyway, but it's really cool when I see readers that put these pieces together. So yeah. All right. So back to the Secret Service. Might as well talk about some of this. So, you know, this sort of stuff, whether it's the military, national security, politics, you understand, like my background at the newspaper. I would totally be writing about all this right now if I was still at the newspaper. It would be very interesting. And I am sure there would be a high probability that I would be getting angry emails, or my editor would be getting angry emails from the Secret Service and the FBI. In the past, when I worked at the newspaper, there was a story that I wrote that involved the FBI, and they were really ticked off at it. And it was during like the Hillary Clinton, when the classified information and all that sort of stuff. And she had her own private server at her home, and she had her email account that she was doing. She was dodging the whatchamacallit, the FOIA request, Freedom of Information request. She was doing all sorts of things to get around the FOIA requests, and just abusing highly classified information, and that you normally have to go under what's called like a skiff, I think, the tent, and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I was writing on it, and the FBI was like really ticked off, and they were like contacting my boss, and they were like, "Oh, we don't like this," and blah blah blah, and basically I was like, "Well, that's the facts. I'm sorry you don't like the facts, and you don't like that I'm talking about it, but you don't get to say that something that is factual is subjective when it's not. It's factual." So anyway, if I was still at the newspaper right now, I would be writing about the Secret Service, and these guys would be ticked off at me and contacting my boss like little babies, like they used to do back in the day. Anyway, so few takes on the Trump stuff, talking about how everything's connected, talking about metaphysical things. I mean, very interesting that this guy, millimeters basically, he turned his head at exactly the right moment as his would-be assassin was pulling the trigger, and the bullet skims his ear. What are the chances that the bullet would skim your ear and essentially like give you a piercing, but it's a bullet piercing from your ear? If he did not turn at that angle, at that very precise second, his brains would be splattered all over the place, and he would not be here today, or he would be a vegetable. You don't want to say it like, I don't know. awkward to say it like that, or he would just literally not have an eye and he would be like becoming something from the Metal Gear series and Big Boss and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, just very interesting. And so to me, there are people that see meaninglessness in everything. Nothing's connected. It's just all chance. And then there are people that read way too much into stuff. And my thing is like, no, if something happens, if God permitted it to happen, then that means that there is a message embedded in all of this. There's a reason why things unfolded the way they did or were allowed to unfold. And so in my mind, you got to be really careful about the messages that you draw from stuff. But I almost feel like it's a how do I say it? A megaphone type message to the United States. You are razor thin amount away from death and destruct, like cultural death, political death, societal death, the total breakdown of civil society. This is how close you are. Do you understand that things are hanging by a thread? The former president of the United States, if it's that close where it shaves your ear, the bullet that was meant to take him out, you need to understand things. We are in a very bad place. So seriously, you need to take a step back and you need to think about what's going on. You don't want to be like KG. You don't want to be Tenacious D and Jack Black, where you just continue going down the same dark path where you're like, yeah, oh yeah. Hopefully he'll have better aim next time. That sort of. No, that's exactly, you're learning the exact wrong lesson. Jack Black, KG, Tenacious D, everybody who agrees with that sort of stuff. No, you need to step back and maybe think about the bigger picture here, because maybe you're the baddie in this situation. But yeah, Secret Service. Oh, that's the other thing, is anybody with a brain could have seen that building, the raised structure with a direct line of sight to 45, Trump, former president of the United States, running for, to be reelected once again. Anybody with a brain. I was telling my wife, if you were tasked with securing that event, you have no background in like security stuff or anything like that, you would know, hey, we need somebody on that roof. We need to make sure this roof is totally secured. Put a counter sniper right there. And here's the other roof. We're going to put one right there. And here's another one. All right, there's a water tower over there. Let's put a guy over there. All right. At a very minimum, we're going to have police that are on all of the points, access points, and nobody gets beyond there. And if they do, then we will immediately radio, like all this sort of stuff. And the fact that now they were saying like, oh, this is how you know about the depths of corruption going on. You have the head of the Secret Service that are like, well, the roof had a dangerous slope on it. What are you talking about? It's basically 0 degrees. It's like there is no slope. It's like 2 degrees or something like that. It's summertime. It's not like it's the middle of the winter. It's icy, and he's on some sort of giant cathedral with like an insane angle where they would just slide off to their doom and their death. It's just a raised roof basically, and it's got an angle to it, but what are you even talking about? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. So that's how you know everything is fishy about this. Everything is fishy about it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and it stinks to high heaven, everything about this. So yeah, the fact that you would not have a counter sniper on that particular roof makes absolutely no sense. And then you get stuff, and there's the ladder that's outside. There's a video of witnesses right after the fact that were saying, that were like, hey, we saw the guy. We were telling the cops, we're like, dude, look on the roof. There's a dude over there. He literally just slow crawled up the side of the roof, and he had a rifle. Like, dude, look. What are you in, dudes. And then the guy, he's talking to the BBC, and he was just like, the police are just like, like none of it adds up. All of it is fishy. Olaf, Iconic Comics, shipping to Poland when? If you would like a copy of Soulfinder Tunnel Hounds shipped to Poland, then shoot me an email at douglasernst@douglasernst.blog, and I will be able to hook you up with a copy. But the thing with Iconic Comics shipping is very expensive. And so they have to be wise about where they ship. And there's all sorts of different places have like VAT taxes and all sorts of strange stuff. And so it's really about figuring out like how do we ship to places but actually like don't break the bank by trying to ship to places, especially places where oftentimes once it hits the country, it's essentially in a black hole. And then if something happens to the package, you're out like $150, and then you have to send another one, and then you're out another $150, and then suddenly you find yourself you're out $300 in shipping alone. And in addition to the books that you're losing and all this sort of stuff. So there's been certain countries here and there, Brazil, Brazil, that, if you start sending to those areas, you're gonna start losing a lot of money because you're not getting your packages and this and that and the other thing. But Olaf, if you want Soulfinder Tunnel Hounds, shoot me a current mailing address to douglasernst@douglasernst.blog, and we will figure something out. So Brett Palmer says gamers know it. So yeah, anyway, so my whole take on the what happened here in Pennsylvania, the attempt on Trump's life, we are in a bad place. There is a lot of corruption going on. People are trying to cover their tracks, but the good thing is we live in the social media age, and people have cell phones, and people were recording things, and we can see everything. So all the stuff that they could pull way back in the day, it's a lot harder to get away with it because people are putting the pieces together and people are talking. And thank God, Elon Musk, even though, like I said, Twitter has throttled my account or whatever, Elon is head and shoulders above Jack, who we used to have back in the day. And so even though Elon is not perfect by any means, I shudder to think about what Twitter would be like if Jack was still in charge right now and people were trying to have it. You would have accounts deleted left and right. They would just be going with whatever the official Secret Service narrative is. That's what they, if you even criticize the Secret Service, your account would be gone. People would be like losing their accounts, all that sort of stuff. So at least Elon is there, and at least a lot of this funny stuff, putting it lightly, is being exposed. Let's see, Olaf, I'm looking at all Iconic Comics on Iconic, including Soulfinder, of course. Well, I cannot speak for any of the other creators, but like I said, shipping to certain countries in Europe is a minefield and oftentimes expensive. And there has been instances where packages are just randomly either returned for ridiculous or dumb reasons, or or the package doesn't get there, and then you have to send more, and suddenly you're getting into hundreds and hundreds of dollars to try and get something to somebody. And it's just sad that the world isn't perfect. But like I said, if you want Soulfinder, you can contact me, but I do not send anybody else's books out. I am not taking that responsibility on my shoulders. Let's see, Olaf, I know Rippaverse manages to do shipping to a lot of places. Why not follow their model for international shipping? Iconic does ship to multiple. If you go to the Iconic Comic website, there's a little section that says which countries that Iconic does ship to. So there are a number of countries that outside the US that it does ship to, but there are logistical issues with all of them. So Iconic Comics was shipping internationally to people before well, before Rippaverse was even Rippaverse. So yeah, so we are shipping to other countries. It's just some of them have more bureaucratic hurdles and issues than others, and everybody has to um, figure that out their own finances on their own. So that's the best I can give you, and I think I've been pretty flexible. So anyway, speaking of iconic comics, again, if you're just tuning in, the early bird special is going on for Soul Finder Tunnel Hounds, the Memento Mori rosaries, the Soul Finder unit patch enamel pins, and various bundles. So check that out if you haven't already. Again, check out Art Table Talk, Yang Yang Zhao. It's in my, if you put in my community tab, I have links to both of these. If you're on Patreon, thank you as well. I've put links as well to there. Also, if you're on the fence about going to Bell County Comic Con, consider that. I believe you should be able to put in the promo code America in reference to Common America to get a little bit of a discount there. And yeah, I will see people August 3rd and 4th at Bell County Expo Center, along with a lot of other really cool guests, like Kevin Eastman will be there. So go to the Bell County Comic Con site and you can see all sorts of cool people, especially related to Ninja Turtles and the anniversary. They will be there as well. The iconic comic guys. Dave Dorman is back again. And yeah, so all right. I think that's about it for now. I've said my piece. We've been going for an hour or so. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again for checking out Iconic Comics. Thanks again for checking out Soul Finder. Appreciate it. And I will see you later. See ya.